part by Inked Playmats at inkedplaymats.com, your place for custom-made playmats. Design your own or shop from other featured designers. Use promo code KLOTZ to save 10% on your order. Inked Playmats, your game, your style. To do on their website, and come join us for a fun-friendly F&M environment. Everybody, this is Kevin from KlotzProductions, and welcome to my Glissa Grave deck tech. It's a new deck that I just built. I'm going to go ahead and get started over here and just give you a quick rundown of what's in this deck. I have Hex Parasites, Young Wolves, Strangleroot Geists, Perilous Myrs, Glissa's the Traitor, and Sylvok Replica. Sylvok Replica was actually in the sideboard, but I moved it over. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. I have Mortarpods and Garruks. I have 3 swords. I have a Feast and Famine and 2 War and Peace. Spells are Tragic Slips, and then Deadly Allures and Altar's Reaps. For my lands, I have Woodland Cemetery, Evolving Wilds, Buried Ruin, some swamps, and a bunch of forests. So basically what this deck is it's a mid-range aggro deck. I wouldn't really call it a really fast aggro deck like goblins would be, because it doesn't kill you quite as fast as they do. It does have some fast dudes, like the Geist over here and the Young Wolf for turn 1 and 2, but they're more of synergy with other cards and such. But it's mid-range because it can stabilize it with like a flipped Garruk that I can start making Death Touch tokens with, and I can start throwing them at you with the Mortarpod, or throwing them at your creatures and wiping out all your creatures so that I can attack. And then while I'm doing that, I can have Glissa to get back my artifacts like Perilous Myr, which I can also use with Mortarpod, or my swords that I can put on my little dudes and attack. But just some of the synergies that I have in the deck. As you see, I have the Hex Parasites. Now, Parasites are good with these 2 creatures here, the Young Wolf and the Strangleroot Geist, because they have Undying. So if either of them die, they'll come back with a counter on it, and then if they're about ready to die, I can just remove a counter with the Hex Parasite. They'll die and then come back again. So it keeps them alive basically infinitely, and gives me infinite blockers for like green decks like Mono Green or something that can't remove the Parasite very easily. Parasite is also good because it can kill Planeswalkers by removing counters from them. There's other interactions with it, but those are the 2 main interactions, aside from the fact that they can also target spirits and just kill them straight up, like a Phantasmal Image. So that's why the Parasites are in there, for the Undying with the Wolves. That's why I do run 4 of each of these, because of the ability with the Hex Parasite that I can just keep getting them back. I used to run 3 Wolves, but I pushed it up to 4. Strangleroot Geist is just really good because he has haste and he has Undying. When I was originally building this deck, it was before Dark Ascension came out, and I was looking through the list looking for some cards. I was hoping that there would be some 1 and 2 drops with Undying that I could put in this deck for the Hex Parasite. Unfortunately, the Geist costs 2 green, so it makes it a little more difficult to cast him. I was hoping to get like a 1 and 1 green, or maybe like a black creature, but he works for what it is. I have Perilous Myr and Glissa the Traitor. Now these both work really well together, as well as the Replica, because with the Myr, he can die and kill a creature and then come right back with the Glissa. Same thing with the Replica. I can like destroy one of their artifact creatures if it's like Tempered Steel, come right back with Glissa the turn it dies. Perilous Myr is specifically good because it will kill Mirran Crusader, who is pro-black and pro-green, because I'll just block with him and then do the 2 damage to him. Now another thing that the Myr is good with is Mortarpod, because I can sacrifice him to do 1 damage and then do another 2 damage on top of that, either to the same creature or to some other creature. So it gives me a lot of options that way. And if you look over here, I also have Deadly Allure. Now these were specifically for being able to kill hexproof creatures, because I figured I could force them to block, like my Young Wolf, which I can just get back with Undying, or my Strangleroot Geist, and it'd be worth the payoff. And since I can flash that back, even if they do counter it with a mana leak, I can bring it back and do it again and still get in there to kill their guy. Now these are also really good with Perilous Myr. I haven't been able to do it yet, but since it gives him Death Touch, then I can block and kill 1 creature, and then when he dies, or I can force a block on 1 creature, then when he dies, I can throw the other 2 damage at another creature and kill him. And once again, if I have him on a Mortarpod, then I can just give him Death Touch and then throw it at 1 creature and then kill the other creature. The Altar's Reap also works really good with all these creatures because I can just sacrifice one of these guys, which is going to make them bigger and they'll come back. Or I can sacrifice the Perilous Myr and do 2 damage to somebody and then get 2 cards out of it. You also have to remember that these guys will come back untapped. So say I have like a Young Wolf and they attack with a 2/2. I can play Altar's Reap, sacrifice the Young Wolf who might be tapped at the time. He'd come back untapped and block their 2/2 and kill it, or say he's attacking with a 1/1 Delver, I can block it and kill it, and I'll also get to draw the cards off the Altar's Reap. So there's a lot of synergies there. Tragic Slip also works really well because I'm going to be sacrificing so many of my creatures and so many of them are going to be dying. This is almost always going to be giving creatures -13/-13. Because like I said, I have Mortarpod, and I can just play the Mortarpod and wait until I need to activate Morbid, and then throw the token at somebody, and then have the Morbid and do the 13 damage. Mortarpod's also really good to kill any little weenie creatures that are going to ramp, like Birds of Paradise or Llanowar Elves or anything of that sort. This deck is really proficient at killing little weenie creatures because of the Perilous Myrs and the Mortarpods, which gives it a good matchup against Delver because I have so many answers for their Delvers, and they're the little dudes. And I can, kill creatures with 3 power with Perilous Myr as well. So lots of synergies there. Now coming down into the swords, I was originally going to run 2 Feast and Famine and 1 War and Peace, but these are the ones I ended up getting a hold of. And when I finally started to play this deck was the same weekend that Sword of War and Peace started going way up in price. So I figured there's probably a reason it's going way up in price, and that would be because it's the better card at this point in time. So that's why I'm running the 2 War and Peace and then the 1 Feast and Famine. Now they don't really need much explanation. You put them on one of these little dudes and attack, and you do really cool stuff. So yeah, some of the other synergies with Garruk, if you have an extra mana when you play him, you can pay the 1 mana with the Hex Parasite to remove the counter from Garruk. It'll immediately flip him over, and then you can have 3 counters on him and a Death Touch token the turn he comes into play. If you have a lot of mana, you can put that on a Mortarpod and throw it at a creature and kill him. So that's another, really neat, just synergetic thing that this deck does. Plus with the 2/2 tokens, I can put them on Mortarpods as well. I can put those tokens on swords and attack. There's just a lot of different options and things I can do. Now with the lands, I really wish there was another black and green land, but there isn't, so that's why I'm running the Evolving Wild, so that I can hopefully have a better chance of getting turn 2 double green for my Strangleroot Geists. Then I have Buried Ruin just so I can get some of my artifacts back another way, like my swords, my Mortarpods, my replicas, my mirrors, or my parasites. So that I can get them back aside from just doing it with Glissa. Now Glissa, if you haven't played with her, she's pretty amazing because she has First Strike and Death Touch, and nobody wants to attack into that because, they can have a 50-50 trample dude, but it won't matter because Glissa will just kill him. So she's really good against the hexproof creatures, like Geist of St. Trath, but also against Dungrove Elders and Thrun the Last Troll. So this deck has a really solid match against mono green, just because I don't have a lot of removal, and once Glissa gets on the board, then I can just stabilize until they don't have anything else on the board. Now moving over into the sideboard real quickly here, I've got 3 Nihil Spellbombs. Now these are basically going to be against any Solar Flare decks, but more specifically against decks that are just running Snapcaster. I actually brought him in against Delver when I played this weekend. I don't know if that's the right play or not, but being able to take their cards out of their graveyard that their Snapcasters are going to want to use and their flashback cards, I think can be really useful with the Spellbomb. And plus I can just pay the 1 black to draw an additional card on it. So that's really good. Deadly Allure is just in here because I had the Sylvok Replica that's in the main deck. I had it in the sideboard. So I just switched those. So it'll probably come out, but I was just kind of experimenting with that. So that's why that's there right now. Now I have 2 more Sylvok Replicas in the sideboard along with 2 Naturalizes. Now these are because my matchup against Tempered Steel is really bad from what I've experienced, at least at the Worlds level of Tempered Steel. At least pre-sideboard. Post-sideboard I get to bring in the Naturalizes and the Replicas, and then it gives me lots of ways to destroy all their stuff, their artifacts, which is everything they have, or their enchantments like their Tempered Steel. And then Glissa will just be bringing them back, so I'll keep reusing the Replicas and destroying everything they have. So I have a really good sideboard strategy against Tempered Steel with that. Now the 3 Spellskites, these are in here against against Wolfrun Ramp because my matchup against them is really rough. And I really don't know the best way to beat them right now, but I know that if I can shut off their Wolfrun with the Spellskite, then that can help a lot because it's a lot of trample damage I don't have to deal with. And it's also going to stop them from pumping their Ink Moths and just flying over and killing me with lethal that way. So that's what Spellskite's for. Now the other 4 cards are Bloodseeker and Ratchet Bomb, and both of these are for token sideboards. Ratchet Bomb is really good because their tokens have a converted mana cost of 0, so I just play Ratchet Bomb, sacrifice it, destroy other tokens. And if I have Glissa out, then this will go to the graveyard, their tokens will die, and then I'll be able to get the Ratchet Bomb right back in my hand from Glissa, so I can kill infinite amounts of tokens that way. And then the Bloodseeker is also against tokens. It works kind of the opposite way, is that whenever their creature comes into play, they lose 1 life. And I figure tokens are going to be putting multiple creatures into play every turn. So I'll destroy them all, and then they're like, drop 5 more, okay, well you lose 5 life. So that's what the Bloodseekers are for, just kind of to punish them for putting creatures into play and kill them really fast and allow me to finish them off. I actually haven't been able to test it yet, but that is what they are in there for. Plus I could only have 2 Ratchet Bombs. If I got a hold of a 3rd one, I'd probably switch one for a Bloodseeker. But that is the deck. That is what I'm playing right now. I hope you all enjoyed this. Give any tips that you think, things I might should change. Just so you know, I have 4 swamps and 11 forests, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah. 11 forests, and then 2 Buried Ruin, 2 Evolving Wilds, and 4 Woodland Cemetery. So if you think the lands are a little off and they need to be switched some way, tell me about that. If you think maybe, I should have 2 Altar's Reap and 3 Deadly Allure, or maybe take out a Tragic Slip or something like that, let me know. Because a lot of these cards, I'm not exactly sure of how many should be in there. There's just like, well, I'll try 2, I'll try 3 and see how it works, just to give me the variety and the options. But I don't know exactly what the best number is for every card. Like I used to have 4 Garruks in there, but now I have 3. I used to have 4 Mortarpods, but now I have 3. I used to have 4 Altar's Reap, but I have 3 of those. And that's where all the Deadly Allures came in, and the Sylvok Replica. But maybe I should be running 4 of some more of those, and maybe not the Deadly Allures. I don't know. But I hope you all did like this deck tech. You can check the annotations at the end to see the deck in action. I've got 2 matches. They should both be up online now, so you can see both of those. One's against Delver, one's against Wolfrun. And also check out the annotations for a link to my vlog. If you all don't know, I actually have a vlog, so you all can go check that out. And I have a link to my Let's Play Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012 over on my video game channel, if you all play video games and would like to see that as well. So that is it, and I will see you all later.